Okay, let's talk now about reverting to a database snapshot. Now, this is, I guess, the closest you can get to restoring a full database. The reason is we're not doing a granular restore like the previous example where we pulled out a store procedure and just recovered that. We're actually going to overwrite the entire database with what it was when we first took the snapshot. So we are reverting the database to the snapshot database. Now, this is driven using the restore database command. So we're going to go restore database. We want to restore the AdventureWorks database from database underscore snapshot equals. Okay, now we want the snapshot database, which is going to be AdventureWorks underscore 9 August, not case sensitive, 2010 underscore 2100. Okay, now I'm just going to check that. Looks okay. Now I'm going to open up another session here and I'm going to leave that one in the AdventureWorks database. I'm going to create another session into the snapshot database. Okay, this one I'm going to change to master. Now watch what happens when I run this. It might take a little while, but it's going to figure out that it's already in use. Now what I'm trying to demonstrate here is that you not only have to kill all sessions to the AdventureWorks database, as you might imagine, because that's the database that you are going to restore over, but you also have to kill all sessions to your snapshot database. So have a look at this. Database state cannot be changed while other users are using the database. AdventureWorks. Okay, so that session that had AdventureWorks, which was this one, I'm going to close. So I've still got a session open to the AdventureWorks snapshot database, and let's try and do the revert again to the snapshot. This time it'll come back in a couple of seconds, and it's going to tell you that it can't do it while somebody is in the snapshot database as well. So it needs to have exclusive access to the data pages, and as you can imagine, they're sharing the data pages, and the majority of the snapshot database are really just pointers to the data pages of the source database, and so that's why you have to get out of both of them. So let's get out, and that should be fairly quick. Bang, it's done. So we have now just taken the database snapshot and restored it over the AdventureWorks database, and basically we've taken it all the way back to when we took it at 9 o'clock in the evening. Now, if this was a 1 terabyte database, the backup might have taken quite a while. We'd have to find a place to put it, and a restore would take quite a while as well. Now think about this. We want to maybe say we're in a non-production environment and we want to actually just test a change, a script. We could create a snapshot of a 1 terabyte database which would take up no size at all when you first create it. Hopefully not too many pages are changing. If it's non-production, chances are that you may have very, very few or no pages changing at all. So depending on how long you want to hold on to your snapshot for, the longer you hold on to it and the more changes to data pages, the larger it's going to get. So assuming you're not going to hold on to it for a long time and not many original data pages are changing, your sparse file is going to be very, very small indeed. So you can create a snapshot in seconds of a 1 terabyte database, run your change, and revert it in seconds as well, and it's taken up no space at all. Okay, so let's recap really quickly. We've probably discussed most of the pros and cons, but just to summarize it, remember some of the pros would be that reverting the entire database can be much faster than restoring from backup. The snapshot can be used as post-change comparison, so that's a really nice one in that you're not exactly sure what's changing. So you've got a GUI utility that's getting run, it's doing an application upgrade and some database changes at the same time. You can create a snapshot before you actually run the GUI install, run a snapshot afterwards, and use some tools to actually do a comparison and look at exactly what's changed. Very, very useful. The snapshot can be used as a means of granular recovery of database objects and data, as we would have seen in the example of when we dropped the store procedure, but data as well. If you're going and you want to see how long it's going to take you, or you want to do some tests on a script where you're deleting a bunch of data, for example, you can just put that data back because you can grab it out of your snapshot. Remember, the initial snapshot requires no storage at all. That's another pro. They support all database recovery model. So it doesn't matter if your database is in single, bulk logged, or full. You can view and drop database snapshots in Management Studio, and dropping a database snapshot has no effect on the source database, so don't be scared to drop your snapshot. To remove a reporting load from an OLTP database, the snapshot can be created from a database mirrored database. So where you've got mirroring, and this is really another topic all on its own, but where you've got the principal mirror, might be on one server, and you might be mirroring to a database on another server. If you've got, say, a reporting requirement, there's no point in actually creating a snapshot each morning for reporting purposes on your principal, on your main OLTP system, because you're sharing the disk, the data pages, you may get a performance hit when people are running the reports. So you can actually run your snapshot on your other host, on your mirrored host, for your requirements, say, once a day. So you've actually offloaded the reporting load onto a completely different host. Now let's chat about some of the cons, because it's not all rosy. Remember that your snapshot file or files will grow as your original data pages are modified, and this can be quite quick depending on the rate of change of your source database, so just watch that one carefully. I'd mentioned this one earlier under the pros, strangely, where there's a potential for the disk subsystem to slow down because of the additional copy on write operation. It doesn't work, remember, in version 2000 or below. It only works with 2005 and 2008 Enterprise Edition. The source database must always be available. Even when you're doing reverting, you can't actually say, oh, hang on, I've got a corruption in my original database. I'm going to quickly revert this and restore that way. It's not going to work. Your data pages are damaged in the source database. Your mirror database is gone as well. And that's why, I'll say it again, it's not a replacement for backups. The snapshot database must exist on the same SQL instance as the source database. I mentioned that at the very beginning. Snapshots are read-only and do not include source database uncommitted transactions. And where data pages have not changed, you'll be accessing the source database file, which may cause contention at the file level, since both the source database and the snapshot database will be accessing the same data files. So if I do a select, let me just demonstrate this. If I do a select star from sys.database underscore files, oops, there's a dot, not a comma. Now this is the master database. There you go. I'm going to look at AdventureWorks database, and as you'll see here, it's AdventureWorks underscore data.mdf and AdventureWorks log.ldf. But if I do that on the snapshot database, what do you think is going to happen? Well, hopefully you guessed that right. Guess what? Exactly the same data and log file. It is sharing the files, and that's what that last point about the file contention is about. Alright, well, I hope you've learned something. I hope that was useful. We spoke a little bit about what it is, how it works, pros and cons. We did a create of a snapshot. By the way, if you want to drop a database snapshot, you just say drop database and the snapshot database name. It's no different to dropping any other database. We did reverting. We looked at the file size on disk and how that all works. And yeah, so I hope that was useful. And just remember, it's not a replacement for backups. And there's lots of good material out there on the net if you want to do a bit more deep dive into the mechanics and slightly more advanced scripts. So, for example, if you've got multiple data files, exactly what the syntax is and all that. Don't forget as well, you can use your template explorer to help you along the way. Yeah, I'd appreciate your comments. Let me know if you'd like some more of these tutorials, and if anybody has any ideas for some topics, I'll be more than happy to